Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
It's time to do better. Beacon's Be Better Group Health Plan now offers new and improved options that make health insurance affordable for small to medium businesses. Good medical cover gives you a competitive edge and takes care of the people that take care of your business. Get a better plan to build a better business. Call Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt for more info today.
Good morning, clubbers, and of course, welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Club. I'm so happy to be with you this morning. It's another terrific Tuesday in pure Grenada, the Isle of Spice. This morning, I woke up energized. I'm grateful for so many things. I'm grateful for the gift of life. I'm grateful for sunshine because sometimes, we want the sunshine, but we don't want the rain. We don't understand balance. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for good health. I'm grateful for love, I'm grateful for opportunities, and of course, I'm grateful for you, that we can converse freely. We still live in a country where we are able to converse freely. It's a beautiful Tuesday, I said. We have an exciting program in store for you this morning. I'll be chatting with Lady Anande Trotman-Joseph. She's the PRO of the Grenada National Organization of Women. We're going to be talking about their recently launched, it launched yesterday, their 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. So we're going to be chatting all about the organization, getting to know more about GNOW, what it is they do, and we'll be diving into some of their projects, especially the 16 days of activism. I'm so happy to have you join us this morning. Grab your cup of coffee, grab your tea. We're going to be chatting about a lot of things this morning. Again, I'm happy to have you. Thank you for joining us on the Ride Along Network. We take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be chatting about what irks Kirk. We'll be right back.
Call Instaprint Grenada today. Located inside Rider Excursion at the Esplanade Mall, we handle both small and large orders with speed and precision. For fast, quality t-shirt printing, call Instaprint at 473-422-1011. Get your perfect print today at Instaprint. Printing done in an instant.
Welcome back, clubbers. And of course, this segment is called What Irks Kirk. But let me tell you what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful, before I start about what irks Kirk, I'm happy to see that the road on H.A. Street has finally been repaired after months and months of having to detour. I'm happy about that. I also understand that the Molyneux Road will be open soon. I'm encouraging the opportunities. I tell you, hear the word I use, encouraging the authorities to focus on the Grand Anse and the Maurice Bishop International Highway, because to be quite honest, some of those potholes your car will end up disappearing in soon. So I am thankful that the Ministry of Works doing their job. I find it slow, but it's getting done. So I'm happy about that, and I really hope that before Christmas we could see a little, stuffing of some of those potholes along the Grand Anse Road and along the Maurice Bishop Highway. Now, I want to address this, and I will address this for the last time. I have lots of friends. A lot of people complain about me. A lot of my friends are upset. Well, I don't even know if you call them your friends if they're upset that I'm on the Ride Along platform. Because apparently, The viewers on the Ride Along platform are pro-NDC. They're not Grenadians. They are pro-NDC. Okay? Because we're no longer Grenadians. Right now, we're NDC, or we're NNP, or we're something else. So a lot of my friends are upset about it. And they're the same people that will tell you that, we're living in a country and we need to get rid of these colored lines. But they're upset about it. And they constantly express to me, why are you on this platform? And da 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 da. Let me say this for the final time. I am not a political activist. Okay? I'm not Jenny Simon. I'm not Sheldon Scott. Okay? And I'm not Kem Jones. I am not a political activist. I have never been. Okay? My goal is to build people and to learn and to educate. I am not going to break people and character assassinate and all of that. It have enough people doing that out there. This is a morning show where we do talk about issues, but we don't beat up on people to talk about issues. This is also a platform where we celebrate Grenadians doing great things. I am not a political activist. Okay? But if I were to choose to be a political activist, I'll be one to reckon with, and you all know that. But it's not me. I don't like to break people and try to destroy people. I'm about building people, about celebrating who we are as people. And I'm kind of tired. I can't say tired, because you want to know something? As you grow in life, people reveal themselves to you. Because the same people that criticizing that are on Junior platform, that it's an NDC platform, should see that I'm not a political activist. It's not who I am. That's not what I chose to do with myself and my life. Okay? That barrel is already filled with people wanting to character assassinate. And listen, I have no problem with them, Some of them speaking for their rights. They're speaking about the things that they see happening in Grenada that they don't like, and that is their right. But that's their right. You know what is my right? My right, okay, is to do a program on any platform I choose. And I just wanted to address that this morning, because I'm tired about it. I'm tired of having friends pit me against friends, And what I've also realized is that maybe we don't communicate well, and maybe I needed to communicate this before. Maybe if I said this before, I wouldn't be going through some of the things that I'm going through. I am very plain with you. The other day I told you that when it comes to governance of this country, some people say that this is the biggest money heist they've ever seen, and some people say it's the best governance they've ever seen. The jury is out. So for the last time, I'm going to tell you, those of you who say you're my friends, those of you who support, I am not a political activist. I am not. I'm simply a person who has a blog, who has a morning show on the Ride Along network. Okay, case closed. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be speaking with Lady Anande Trotman-Joseph. She's the PRO for the Grenada, for GNOW, and we're going to be chatting about their 16 days of activism. We'll be right back.
Are you looking to take your business or event to the next level? Advertise on Ride Along Live and reach over 10 million viewers worldwide every month. With a global audience tuning in for the latest news, entertainment, and culture, your message will get the exposure it deserves. Don't miss the opportunity to showcase your brand to a diverse and engaged audience. Ride Along Live, where the world watches and your business grows. Contact us today to get started.
Welcome back, folk. And of course, this morning, I'm joined by the PRO of the Grenada National Organization of Women. I'm speaking none other than Lady Anande Trotman-Joseph. Lady Trotman-Joseph, welcome to the Wake Up Club.
Thank you, Kurt, and I'm happy to be welcomed here. And I'm coming today on behalf of the Grenada National Organization for Women of Grenada, of course. And I
Uh-huh.
heard your introductions this morning, and I think it is appropriate that we're here because we're all about community and making sure that politics is about people, real people within the community. And for us, we want to end gender based violence and have a peaceful society. So here I am
Okay.
with you and with your listening audience and viewing audience, of course.
Okay. Well, we appreciate having you here. GNOW, I keep hearing about GNOW. Now, I know what GNOW is, but I know there are some viewers who would have heard the GNOW, but don't really know what the organization is and what the organization does. Can we start by you telling me a little bit about the organization, its makeup, and so forth?
Of course. So, as I said before, this is the National Organization for Women and by extension girls, but there, of course, is the children's organization, the Grenada National Coalition on the Rights of the Child, but we are concerned with the female gender of our society and making sure that the rights of women are protected, but more importantly, known and advocated for. So I'm a lawyer by profession, so I chose to join this organization now, which is over 50 years old.
Okay.
And I think it might be important to share with you a little bit here. I do make sure that I have something to share with you that we are the umbrella non-governmental organization, an NGO for women in Grenada, and it was launched in 1995, and it is a company registered, an NGO company. Our vision is that we want to be a vibrant women's organization addressing the needs of all segments of the female population of Grenada and attracting national and international support for gender equality, gender equity, women's empowerment, and involvement in development, including economic, social, and political dimensions. So perhaps this is how I want to start.
Mhm.
We are made up of different associate groups, and I will just throw out a few of them. For example, the Nurses Association. And why am I speaking about the Nurses Association? Because our current incoming president, Kendra Klein, a very young, vibrant woman, is our current president. We have members from the Soroptimist Club. We have representation from the union. Charlene Herbert, our immediate past president, comes from the Trade Unions Congress itself. We have youth. We have persons coming from ministries. We have members coming, yes, from the political women's arms of the NNP, the NDC. We have the Girl Guides Association. Everybody knows about the Girl Guides and Guiders. So these are a few of the persons who are represented on our executive, but we are an umbrella organization and with deep roots within the communities across the length and breadth of Grenada. And I must mention that we have member organizations too from Carriacou and Petite Martinique. So very wide representation across the community. And I want to remind our viewers that women make up at least half of the population of Grenada, women and girls. So I think it is from that point of reference that we are coming to do our work, and not because we are women, we are only looking at women's issues, but we want to look at gender issues, which means addressing issues that affect women and men, because women are the mothers of the sons, the wives, the friends, the sisters of brothers. So I just want to ensure that we place that context. So in a nutshell, that's who we are.
Okay, great. Now, yesterday you launched a campaign 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence. It runs November 25th to December 10th. Can you tell me about the genesis of it? How did that project come about? And what can we see over the next 16 days? What to look forward to?
Yes. So this project, this experience is a lived and living experience because this started since the 1990s. And many, many years ago, approximately 30 years ago, the women of the world gathered in Beijing, China, and together declared the Beijing Platform for Action. Because yes, we women across the world had been marching for rights, demanding rights, burning bras, and demanding that we had to be equal. So it was about gender equality and women wanting an equal place in the society, to be recognized, to have access to education, to justice, and everything that a man or a male would be entitled to. And coming out of that, one of the commitments among many is that women would pursue goals which would make them equal within the societies of the world. And the 16 days of activism was one of those advocacy community experiences that was adopted for implementation in every nation. Grenada, like most of the Caribbean countries, would have been represented at this Beijing event, and therefore it now lives with us going on 30 years after that event. So we begin with the first day, which began yesterday, and there are many activities by many organizations across the nation. We actually started with a church service, and I was happy to know that our Prime Minister was present because, like I said before, women can't and girls can't hold up the entire sky. We only hold up half of the sky. So we have to join with everyone else. So during this time, there's a focus on human rights, the rights of everybody. But we started yesterday on November 25th with recognizing a day for the elimination of discrimination against women and girls. And this is because Grenada and roughly 189 countries around the world are celebrating these 16 days of activism. So yes, it starts being led by women and girls, and everybody who has a human right, that is a right to be, would be part of it, because there's Human Rights Day, there's a day against AIDS, and to make sure that our health systems are responding to persons who have HIV, and there's still quite a lot of people living with HIV/AIDS within our Caribbean societies, and that incidence of that disease is still apparently on the rise because we have stopped talking about it. And that is why it is so important to have these days of activism. So all of us, all vulnerable groups, and sometimes women are vulnerable, and men in our society seem to think that women are no longer vulnerable, but that's another story because there are other discriminations. And that is why we have this recognition of the elimination against discrimination, because sometimes discrimination is subtle. But of course, children are voiceless, so we also recognize their rights during the 16 days of activism. So it is very, very community-based. Sometimes you will see marches taking place throughout the streets. We at Gino, we have a workshop tomorrow and Thursday, and many, many activities led by the Ministry of Social Development and others. So in a nutshell, lots of activism, lots of community engagement, lots of advocacy, lots of sharing about our evolving vulnerabilities. So for example, even the Bar Association during this week is speaking about the impact of climate on all of us and the vulnerabilities it brings to us as Grenadians. So we are all about what is an evolving vulnerability for our citizens, and how as a community, a society, we can speak about it, grow about it, share about it, and take action about where we are vulnerable, and together have a plan of action as to how we can correct some of these vulnerabilities.
Okay, most definitely. Like, I know the campaign focuses on three areas: statistics and legal rights policies, sharing critical data and highlighting the legal framework protecting against gender based violence, reporting processes and procedures, educating the public on how to report incidents effectively and securely, services and support for survivors and families, providing information on available resources for those impacted by gender-based violence. So I'm very excited about the project. When I look at the statistics in Grenada, 29% of Grenadian women have experienced physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. Emotional abuse remains the most common form of violence reported. 24% of the gender-based violence cases in Grenada involve physical violence, while sexual violence accounts for 12%. And now, Lady Trotman Joseph, and and I've got to ask that a lot of us grew up. I grew up with that in my home. I grew up seeing that in my village, and I don't want to say it's cultural, but I think it's something that we as people just turn a blind eye to. How do we get out of that? What should we do if we see it happening? And then we live in a society where it's a small society, so you don't want to be responsible for report. It's a complex thing we're living in, because part of it, I don't like to say it's cultural, but it is. We've taken a lot of this for granted. I saw it in my household. I saw, family members walking around with black eyes. I saw bruises. And it became something, that happened, and you just turn a blind eye to it. Okay? If we see it, what is the reporting process?
Okay, perhaps let me first acknowledge that we as a people, and I think you've hit the nail on the head, we as a people and as a form of our culture, yes, the sociologists would say it's a norm that we believe in violence. And some people think that it stems from our history, a history of slavery where persons were whipped and whipped into punishment. Some people feel it's in our DNA. But however, this has become a norm in our society, it is also, I have to say, being perpetuated or advocated or sung about in our culture. And if we have been accustomed to receiving licks and beatings, whether as a child or whether as an adult or living in a home where there has been domestic violence, then it becomes learned behavior. So a little child grows up, the only way they know that they have been disciplined or what they have seen in their household has been violent, they in turn will beat, hit, and so on. So how do we deal with this? We have to accept that it's a reality in our society. That's the first thing. We ourselves have to go through being conscious, through hearing and talking as we are this morning about issues like this, real issues in our society, real issues that are encouraged or brushed and swept under carpets, even when sometimes people go for help to family members, to churches, wherever it is covered down. It's sometimes even taboo to speak about this kind of violence in our homes and in our small societies. So, we will come back a little bit more to some of the statistics and some of the impacts. But you asked, how do you report this? First of all, plain and simple, I would say that if somebody is being abused, there are indicators, there are signs in the school, I think, where the persons are children, the teachers will begin to see the first signs. The children will start to react. They will be sad. They may become depressed. A bright child may suddenly drop back, stop doing well in class, gaze away, and show signs. So, of course, through training, through our discussions, through advocacy, we would encourage these what we call first responders, let's say in a school, to respond and take the extra time to approach these children to find out what is going on. Our school system also has a guidance counselor arrangement where
Mhm.
if it is covered, of course, the guidance counselor may be approached to speak with children who are appearing to have been victims of violence of some sort. Now, there's something else that is there within our laws, both in the Child Protection Authority Act as well as in our Criminal Code Act. Well, yes,
Mhm.
and that is mandatory reporting. So, how do you report? Even if somebody does not report, then if it comes to the attention of a teacher, a parent, a guardian, or a medical professional, a doctor, a nurse, there is a requirement in law for mandatory reporting. And if there's a failure to report, that person who has knowledge can be fined up to $15,000 or face up to 7 years imprisonment. Very serious. I don't think that persons know about this, and this is why having an opportunity to have a program like this, we can know that there is mandatory reporting required by stakeholders, first responders, even parents and guardians, or persons who have custody and care of children. Especially, this is especially where there's sexual violence, but there are lesser penalties and prison terms, yes, in cases, let's say this comes to the attention of persons in the school and they don't do anything. There are other ways that we can report violence, physical violence,
Mhm.
and if you are a victim, you can call a hotline. There are hotlines available, and I'm sure as we go through this particular 16 days of activism, those numbers for the hotlines will be shared, but you can call many places. You can call the Legal Aid and Counseling Clinic, you can call the Ministry of Social Development, you can call the Child Protection Authority, you can call your church, wherever you know that there can be help. But most importantly, if you think that as a victim, you are experiencing violence that is affecting your life, of course, there's a police station. And I would urge persons, perhaps if it is really extreme, report, take yourself, drag yourself, and go to the police. They are being especially trained at this time to have a special units. There's the community relations department, yes, community relations department, the CRD, and they are trained there to respond in a community way. So they are more sensitive to victims who will come in. There is a special unit as well for persons who are experiencing sexual violence, and they are being trained. They would have kits, they have tools, they would know how to counsel and to treat with persons who are experiencing sexual violence, even what we call intimate partner violence. Because sometimes you may have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a spouse, a partner, and because these persons are close to you in an intimate way, some people feel that they don't have any rights to report, but you do. So these are some of the areas you can go to. As I said, social work. There might be a social worker in your division. And I think during this time, more will be done to share the access to counseling. The Ministry of Social Development as well, where these reports are made, they will also try to assist with temporary housing. And we know that there's also legal aid at the Legal Aid and Counseling Clinic where
Mhm.
persons can receive legal advice. So yes, I would urge you, report. If you're a child of any age, 0 to 18 is the age of a child, believe it or not, young people. Go to your teachers, go to your principal in particular, because that's where it will go. If you're not yet comfortable with going to your principal, report it to your class teacher. I would say If it is too much pressure, report it to somebody in authority, in your church. But I would say, to be honest, get to the police. And they, in turn, because of the training they're receiving, will be able to direct you where to go. And if it is a criminal activity, they can also take the action of filing the charges and doing the investigations. Because, especially where it is sexual violence, if you have been raped, for example, or interfered with sexually, and you go and you have a bath, you take away that evidence, you wash away that evidence. So I would say in some cases, if it is really extreme, go directly to the nearest police station and make a report. Ask somebody to come with you, a friend who you may have shared the story with, a parent. However you have to do it, just report, speak up, and the system is being trained and is trained to protect you.
Okay. Thank you, Lady Shertman. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with more on the 16 days of activism, of course, being spearheaded by Gino. We'll be right back.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
Welcome back to the Wake Up Club. Of course, this morning I'm chatting with Lady Anande Trotman Joseph. She's the PRO of the Grenada's National Organization for Women. We're talking about 16 days of activism. We're talking about gender violence. So much information in a short space of time. Lady Trotman Joseph, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
I know I briefly mentioned the statistics and I find them alarming. Can you share some information on that with us, please? Some of the statistics, because I find them very alarming for a small place like Grenada.
Yes, I do as well find them very alarming. We in our civil society and community activism find them very alarming. And I want us to, I'll give an example outside of Grenada and then I will come back to these statistics. I know that many of us would have followed the recently concluded US elections. And there were polls and there were polls. And when we got the results, those of us looking on, we would have seen that the polls did not match up to the results. So I'm using this example to share with us that we have some statistics, but in this particular area, because what happens in terms of violence, including sexual and intimate partner violence, physical, fighting and so on, takes place most likely in secret places, private places. Somebody gets violated on the way home in the dark. So everything is what we in Grenada would say usually underneath. Unless we're seeing the black eyes, unless we're seeing the changed behaviors, we may never know. And some people just keep a stiff appearance as if all is well with them and nothing has gone wrong and so much is going on, so much harm has been done to them. So we have statistics, but we believe that there is underreporting. And that's why I use the example of the US polling. So based on what we know, approximately 29% of Grenadian women, and I'm speaking now only about women because, of course, when you add the number to do with children, you will know it would be really a much higher percentage. So approximately 29% of Grenadian women have reported, not what is not reported, that they have experienced physical and or sexual intimate partner violence in their lifetime. Emotional abuse remains one of the most common forms of violence reported. So, there was an old saying, sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but names would never harm me. But what we are realizing as we are more exposed to psychology and sociology, and we know that in Grenada, lots of our people are studying in this particular area at TAMCC, at SGU, and even through the UB system. We're learning more about people and speaking up more about who we are. So now that this is happening, we are realizing that lots of people are saying that the emotional abuse is sometimes even more harmful. The name calling, the insults, the the horrible things that people say, financial abuse, people who have the money within the home, whether they're the parents, whether they are the spouses, withholding enough money that they could share to make sure that everybody is well fed, everybody can get to work or to school, quickly, safely, and so on. That this kind of abuse is now really impacting our people, their personalities, the productivity of our society. We are told too that 24% of gender-based violence cases in Grenada involves physical violence, and among women, sexual violence accounts for roughly 12%, as is being reported. I'm flagging again that this is an area, especially the sexual violence, which is highly, highly underreported. And why I say this as well is because I'm a lawyer and I would get the court list every time we have what is called the opening of the criminal assizes or the criminal sessions for hearing. Most times we would see that roughly sometimes up to 50% of the matters that are coming up to be heard by the judge and the jury in the criminal courts is around sexual violence, rape, incest, sexual assault, and that is just too much for a society that is as small as this. Imagine the harm that is happening to our women and girls. And I have to add, because we're talking gender-based violence, sometimes our boys and men. But of course, we know that people talk in terms of prevalence, what is most reported, what is happening most, and that is definitely gender-based violence against women. That is in terms of the most reported, the most happening. But we will share with you, because we are about gender, and gender means equality, that we do have some cases of boys and men being physically and sexually assaulted. No, these are even way more underreported than cases of violence against men and boys, because our society just expects that men and boys have to be strong, and they don't, they cannot be violated like that. But it happens, and we would, as parents, as mothers, as sisters, as friends within our society, give equal support in an equal way to our male counterparts when this happens. I add as well that in our Caribbean, and therefore in Grenada, and these are very, very sad, but real and stark statistics, that 1 in 3 women report in our Caribbean region. And sometimes right here in Grenada, we might ask ourselves the question whether it is more than 1 in 3 who report experiencing physical or sexual violence during their lifetime. And this is coming out of the UN Women regional statistics as recent as 2023. A lot is going on, a lot of advocacy, a lot of marching, a lot of talking, but still the numbers, the reports are not going down. They're holding steady, and in some cases even peaking in some areas more than others, and that this rate of physical and sexual violence is not going away and is being endured by at least 1 in 3 women who can speak And you can imagine sometimes what is happening with our children who are voiceless and cowering in little corners in fear from physical and sexual violence. So let us think about it. And I think that, therefore, speaking about these statistics, this is really a call to action for all of us to look at ourselves, look at where you started off, Kurt, having that discussion about, what is really happening in terms of the leaks that we are sharing in the house to discipline children. What is the long-term impact of this learned behavior?
Exactly. I know we're almost out of time, but I've got to ask you, we spoke about the 16 days of activism. There's another project, it's called the Blueprint Project. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you for asking. So we at GNOW, during these 16 days of activism, we want to give back, we want to re-energize even our own organization. We want to share what this information is about, and we are undertaking right now during this week, having launched on Saturday at the Koyaba, a project called Blueprints for Gender Equality. And it is a community engagement project, and it's funded by the Community Engagement Fund of CUSO, which is an organization which is Canadian, of Canadian origin. It has its office here in Grenada, funded by the government and people of Canada. Imagine they have their own problems, their own issues, but they're taking their taxpayers' monies and giving it to us as a small nation to support us in this fight for gender equality, including this fight against gender-based violence. So we will be holding a workshop at the Marichaud House from 9 to 3 tomorrow and Thursdays. And I'm repeating, from 9 to 3 at the Marichaud House, about gender equality and addressing and fighting gender-based violence during these 16 days of activism. All who are interested are invited, and we would urge you to come if you're interested to Marichaud House beginning at 9. Of course, you would come a little earlier to be a part of this experience as to how you can be trained and become more knowledgeable about the fight and the call to community action, so that you, as somebody who's interested from your community or from your own organization, can come and be a part of this training, to be part of the transformational change to end violence, gender-based violence in any of its forms, right here in Grenada. Is a call to action to you within our hearing and within our viewing this morning, coming from the Grenada National Organization for Women. It's the responsibility of all of us to check ourselves, transform ourselves, and go out back to our homes and communities and do things differently. Control yourself, master yourself, and say, no, there has to be a better way. And if I can't do it better, let me reach out to one of our psychosocial providers, our pastors, our social workers, somebody who can help us, counsel us to deal with our own problems of violence and these old-fashioned ways of discipline by beating. We're not saying you can't discipline your children, for example, but it cannot be disciplined when they end up presenting with black and blues and broken arms and welts and cuts and contusions at our general hospital. That is not discipline. That is a crime, and you can be charged. And all of our responders, wherever they are now under a responsibility for mandatory reporting, and they are required to call in the police to take action where there is a presentation of violence against vulnerable people, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, whether you're a boy, or whether you are a girl.
Thank you very much, Lady Anande Trotman Joseph. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, 16 days of activism. You know how you can get involved. You know you need to report it if you see it out there. As I started the program, I saw it in my life growing up. I've had experiences where I have seen it become learned behavior within my own circle. So we've got to break this cycle, and we've got to break it now. I want to wish you and Gino every success in all your ventures. I'm going to be at that workshop on Thursday, definitely, because, I believe knowledge is power. And in order for us to become better versions of ourselves, we've got to embrace knowledge when it's presented to us. So I want to thank you again for joining us and wish you all the success. Thank you very much. And have a fantastic Tuesday.
I will. Same to you and all of our listeners and viewers. And thanks for having us, Gina, on your program.
We appreciate you. Folks, we take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up.
It's time to do better. Beacon's Be Better Group Health Plan now offers new and improved options that make health insurance affordable for small to medium businesses. Good medical cover gives you a competitive edge and takes care of the people that take care of your business. Get a better plan to build a better business. Call Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt for more info today.
Folks, welcome back to the Wake Up Club. I'm happy that we had this program this morning. When you look at the statistics are alarming. All of us at some point in our lives would have experienced this or have seen it happening in our household, in our society, in our neighborhood. I know it affects children. It becomes learned behavior, and it's definitely something that we have got to nip in the bud. So we've got to do it. I want to wish you all a terrific Tuesday. Go out there and be the better versions of yourselves. Listen, everybody's struggling. Everybody's fighting something. You're not alone in this. You're not alone. So I want to thank you all for continuing to join us on the Ride Along Network, for continuing to follow the Wake Up Club. I appreciate you. If there are topics that you'd like us to discuss, please feel free to put them in the comments. You know I look at every single comment, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. I look at every comment. So please, this is about us coming together on a morning to talk about what's happening in Grenada and to celebrate successful Grenadians doing great things. So thank you again for joining us. I know you have choices. There's so many different things you could be doing with your time this morning, but you took that time to join us on the Wake Up Club, and I am very appreciative of that. I want to wish you a terrific Tuesday. Go out there and be your bad self. When I say bad self, I mean bad, eh? You know what I mean? The young people lingo. Go out there and do great things. Have a fantastic Tuesday, folk. See you on Friday. Bye.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top up your account and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up several notches. But the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.